Let's talk sourdough, because it looks intimidating, it sounds intimidating, and it might even feel like you need a culinary dictionary just to get started. I began my sourdough journey on January 2nd, 2026. I had zero experience with sourdough. By January 13th, I was successfully baking beautiful sourdough recipes in my own kitchen. That's 11 days. Not culinary school, not years of practice. 11 days. And today, we're removing the fear. Because sourdough isn't complicated. It's just unfamiliar. Every vocation has its own language. Real estate has contingencies and amortization. Fitness has macros and progressive overload. Technology has algorithms and analytics. Sourdough has starter, leaven, Autolyse, Banneton, lam. It sounds complex. It isn't. Vocabulary is often the biggest barrier. Once you understand the words, you realize this is just flour and water doing what they have done for thousands of years. Now let's talk money. A basic, bland, store-bought loaf runs between $3 and $5. An artisan sourdough loaf from a bakery? $6, $7, sometimes $9 or more. Flour, when purchased wisely, runs about 2.5 to 7 cents per ounce. A typical sourdough boule uses about 17 to 18 ounces of flour. At 2.5 per ounce, that's roughly 44 cents. At 7 cents per ounce, that's still only about $1.26. Add salt and water, negligible cost. So you're baking an artisan quality loaf for somewhere between 50 cents and $1.30 in ingredients. That's intentional living. And it tastes better. Let's decode the most common terms. First, starter. Starter is simply flour and water that has captured wild yeast. It's alive, you feed it, it bubbles, it rises. Side note, starter is also sometimes referred to as mother. When you remove some starter from the jar before feeding, that's called discard. It's not waste, it's opportunity. It's perfect for pancakes, crackers, waffles, English muffins, and so much more. Next up, leaven. Leaven is the portion of starter you prepare for a specific bake. Starter lives in the jar. Leaven goes in the dough. Autolyse means you mix flour and water and let it rest before adding salt and leaven. That rest allows the flour time to absorb the water and gluten to begin forming naturally. Hydration is simply the ratio of water to flour. Higher hydration means wetter dough. Lower hydration means firmer dough. Bulk fermentation is the first rise after everything is mixed. This is where flavor develops. A Banneton is a woven basket that supports your dough during its final rise. Helpful, but not required. A bowl with a floured towel works beautifully. I use a bowl, works just fine. Next is the lam. A lam is a small razor tool used to score the top of your dough before baking. It tells the bread where you want it to expand. The ear is the lifted, crunchy flap of crust that peels back from the score during oven spring. It forms when the dough expands rapidly. A well-developed ear is considered a hallmark of excellent fermentation, tension, and scoring technique. You may also hear the French term grigne. Grigne refers to the entire opened score line and its lovely, jagged expansion. The ear is specifically the raised lip of crust on one side of that grigne. Please excuse my French. Next, boule. Boule simply means round loaf. We're literally making a bread ball. And finally, my favorite new sourdough vocab word, spurtle. A spurtle is great for mixing your starter. And it is just so fun to say. Spurtle, spurtle, spurtle. Will a wooden spoon or silicone spatula work? Absolutely. But seriously, spurtle. You do not need a professional kitchen. You do not need expensive tools. You need flour, water, salt, consistency, and a little patience. When I started in January, I had curiosity and a jar. That was it. Within 11 days, I had beautiful loaves and a couple that were a little ugly, but still delicious. The transformation was not talent, it was repetition. Now, let's talk about tools that make it easier. A digital kitchen scale removes guesswork. If you can only add one item to your sourdough toolkit, make it the scale. Why does it matter? Flour is basically a tiny weather station. It absorbs or releases moisture depending on the humidity in the air. So a cup of flour today might not be the same cup tomorrow. In fact, it can vary by as much as 10%, which is plenty to quietly sabotage a recipe. Your measuring cup looks innocent, but the flour inside may already be bringing extra water to the party. A scale will make a big difference. A Danish whisk mixes dough gently without overworking it. And remember my favorite word? Spurtle? I like to mix with a spurtle too. A bread sling makes transferring dough into a hot Dutch oven safe and easy. Ask me how I know. After nearly burning both my arms on the 500-degree Dutch oven and almost dropping a ready-to-bake boule on the floor, I bought a set of 2. Speaking of arms, if you bake in larger batches, a stand mixer can help save yours. These aren't requirements, they're conveniences. I've linked the tools I personally use below if you want to simplify your process. Required disclosure, as an Amazon affiliate, I would receive some benefit if you purchase through my link. I'm a bargain shopper. Thanks for checking out my picks. I would love to know what tools you use in your baking process. Comment below. Sourdough seems scary, mostly because of vocabulary. Once you decode it, you realize it's frugal and satisfying. Under $1 for ingredients. 11 days from beginner to baking. Bread that tastes like real food. If you're even slightly curious, start from where you are. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Spend wisely, live intentionally, laugh at the rest. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how to create your starter from scratch. Let's talk sourdough!